Good for both halves. I thought we gave good effort. A little more focus on the defensive end. I thought that with two of the leading scorers going 3 for whatever, and then switching 1 through 5, everybody being a part of Gardner, it shows that they were locked into the game plan and executed from a defensive standpoint pretty well. On the offensive end, we were a little more efficient. I thought we could have done a little better on the offensive boards. We were much better in the second half than we were in the first half. We gave up probably a little bit, I think about 9 offensive rebounds to them in the first half. I thought we were a little better in our blockouts the second half. Our turnovers, we didn't turn it over very much at all the second half. I think we had 9 at halftime and only 2 or 3 in the second half, I believe. So I think we're making progress in those areas. On the negative side, I just think we got to find a better way to have a little better rotation. I'm not accustomed. I don't think we've ever played 2 guys 37 minutes in one game. We got to develop a little more confidence in our younger guys in the heat of the battle, and put them in situations that they can gain some experience, so we can depend on them a little more. But we don't have very many situations where I'm feeling real comfortable that we can do that. We have 2 guys that are playing that hadn't practiced hardly, has practiced very little at all. So we got to find a way to get a little better rotation. My sister's in both of my ears at the same time, letting me know that someone's had extended minutes. We need to give them a little bit of a blow. And the negative effect of that is that in January and February, you pay the cost for not keeping guys as fresh as we have become accustomed to. So I hope that we can improve a little bit on that. But we got some tough competition for here on out. Not really sure we can experiment very much, so our guys gonna have to probably accelerate their learning, the learning process, and hopefully we can gain a little more confidence and spread some of those minutes out. You got any questions?
Matt seems to keep getting more and more assertive. Just what do you make of how he's performed now 3-4 games in a row?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the overall flow of our offense. I think Worley has given us good leadership. I think he's moving the ball, making pretty good decisions, and he's handling the bulk, of that responsibility. And on the other hand, I think defensively, he takes a little pressure off our guys because he's playing excellent defense. And so Matt doesn't have to carry the load defensively as much with Worley out there. What we're trying to do is to allow our lack of size to be a plus for us in the decision making and ball movement and moving the bodies and moving the ball. Now, we're not quite there yet. We still have a tendency to pass and stand and not move and create indecision on the defensive part. I just think we got a long ways to go, but we are showing signs of getting better. At least the last 4 games we played, I think that we've shown that we kind of moving in the right direction. We just got to continue to keep winning while we're growing and improving.
Following up on Matt, was there a switch that flipped for him in terms of defensive rebounding? I know early in the season we agreed that needed to get better there, and he's really I feel like starting to find his rhythm on the defensive.
But I think that's the competitive nature of this young man. He realizes that we play small ball as compared to what we've been accustomed to, and so we need him to be more aggressive, and he's responded. I mean, that's just part of growing up and maturing and accepting the responsibilities that's given to you on the team, and going out and trying to do what is required of him. That's a heavy load to carry. Now we need other guys on our team to approach the game with that same focus. And this is the first time we've had to depend so much on first and second year players. And you don't realize the value of having juniors and seniors on your team. Number one, even if they're not great players, they understand your system, they been through the wars, they understand the pace you have to play at to compete and be successful at this level. Well, our sophomores haven't had that experience that much. But he is the lead dog. He has the most experience. And I think he's sharing that verbally, physically, and emotionally with his teammates. And he's holding everybody accountable, and he's leading by example.
Another strong game from Cam Corrin. How have you seen him kind of rise to the occasion? It feels like stepping in somewhat in the Cam Fletcher role and getting some of his minutes.
The main thing is he's gaining more confidence. He's a little more relaxed. And a lot of that comes with him kind of knowing what he's supposed to be doing. You know, he's not as indecisive as he was earlier. You could just see it in his face. He was not real sure of what I'm supposed to do. We call it out of bounds play, and he doesn't know what he's popping, was he setting the screen. This is a lot of stuff for a freshman to process. And you see even Tom House, you know, he seems to be a little more relaxed. And Chandler, you know, they were putting some pretty heavy heat on him tonight. And he hadn't faced that level of that kind of pressure. And I thought that he was a little unsure of himself tonight. But that's part of what you go through when you're a first-year player. I was pleased with Deontay. He gave us some good minutes while he was on the floor. We probably got to play him a little bit more at the 4 and the 5. We don't really have a 4, but kind of identify as you guys relate to the game of basketball. We only have one position on this team, and that's the center. Everybody else interchangeable. And so he's going to probably have to be bouncing back, playing some 5 and a perimeter position, just so we can have some quality depth. I think you'll see he's a very savvy basketball player, and I think you'll see him gain more and more minutes. I like what our young guys are doing. We just need to be a little more consistent.
The last 5 minutes of the first half, first 5 minutes of the second half, it was a key stretch where you guys kind of built a lead and they weren't really doing much offensively. So what were you guys doing defensively that kind of put the clamps on?
You know, I've said this many times, we don't really change that much as how we play defense. Now, in each game preparation, each coach will dissect and do all this statistical analysis and help us prepare. I thought Coach Jones, this was his prep, and he had a good game plan for how we were switching with their schemes. I thought that kind of bothered them up a little bit. They couldn't get the catches in the spots that they wanted to. But they kept executing. This team never really got rattled, you know, so to speak. But I thought our defensive effort and focus was pretty good. And I don't think we did anything different other than follow the game plan and with a little more execution and have a little better, probably a clear understanding of what we were requiring of them. Sometimes it's when you're learning how to talk, because there's so many different things going on, and there's a certain defensive procedure that we use to guard everything. And whether or not your head is turned the right way, where your inside foot's up so you can see not only the ball, but also see where your man is. All those technical things, and sometimes that's part of the game that they never had to execute. A lot of times they turned their back. I think if you saw the press conference that Louisville had the other night, they said one of their game plans were to penetrate, because we have a tendency to turn our heads and look at the ball and not look at our opponents. Well, that's a weakness of ours. And since we have not been doing very well on the boards, they wanted to crash the boards. That's been the formula. Drive them and crash the boards. Because we really don't let people run a lot of their sets. And so tonight, I thought our guys executed the defensive plan to perfection. And we got those deflections and steals and got out and got some easy baskets. Offensively, they were really crowding, putting 3 people in the kind of a box. So when we tried to do ball screens, they didn't want us to get into the lane. So that's why we had our post guys running to the halo. They were available. They were open late, and we threw the ball to them. And I thought that was a big factor in the game. We have not really consistently established interior offensive game as well as we did tonight.